Okay, good morning, guys. I'll just check on the sound. So just let me know if the sound is okay. Okay, can you hear me loud and clear? Let me just make sure I've got everything up and running. It looks like the Dow's going to go on without me. All right, Hang Seng's kicking up. Right, so I'm just watching some of these markets, but never fear, we'll get into it then. All right, welcome to TradeSetup and the Morning Playbook. So what I want to try to do is each morning just to take a look at what we call the Morning Playbook and what our plan of attack is, what the levels that I'll be looking at, what I expect from the previous night's actions, and just setting up for the day, really. Just give you a bit of a look into how a professional trader would set up for the day, what levels they might be looking at for interest, and what is sort of potentially triggering a short or a long. Mainly, we're looking at the indexes, so we're looking at the Dow, the Hang Seng, and the SPY, which is sort of mainly on during the day. Just going to take a look at also quickly what the indices did overnight and what we expect to happen on the ASX 200 from the open. So what you can see on the screen now is the ASX 200. Okay, so just give me a second. Just want to see if everyone can hear me. Sound should be okay. So just want to make sure that we can have a bit of a heads up on how this market's turning and what we could be looking at. All right, so I'll get into it. Let me just open one more thing up to make sure I've got everything happening. All right. Live stream. Okay, that's up and running just to make sure. All right. So to start off with, we'll take a look at the ASX 200. So just remember, if you have any questions later on, if you watch this later on, and you do have some questions, just email us back. Okay, to support@tradesetup.com.au. All right, and what I'll do is I'll get back to you with a couple of answers, or if there's something you want to look at for the next morning, there might be an indice trade or intraday stuff, just email us through and I'll see what I can do the next morning. So it only run for about 10 or 15 minutes. We just want a short, sharp video of levels we're looking at, what could move the market, and then potentially, or for anyone that's a subscriber, that may get out some alerts, intraday alerts during the day. Otherwise, I'll just cover off potentially in the afternoon of what sort of stood out to me, what I actually traded. All right. Heard music. That's probably my phone in the background. Sorry about that. All right. So the ASX, we're expecting that to open up. I mean, this is the ASX 200. That's where it closed yesterday. Expecting that to pump up through, or at least up to this level around 55, 56. So the SPY, anyone that follows that, the SPY 200 was up over just over 100 points, 110, 109 for the overnight session, which is during the European and the US hours. That finished up about 100 points, which would suggest from 4 o'clock that we're going to open up on the ASX up about 100 or so. So I would expect it to be quite a positive open on the ASX. It's going to get up near these two previous highs, if you can see that. These two previous highs, somewhere around the 55, 50 mark. It could just blast straight through. We could have an almighty day today on the back of what the US rallied on is COVID-19 vaccine. Now, this has all happened before. It just seemed to be a bigger move last night. We've heard about companies that are getting good results and nothing's come about. There's still going to be a long time before, even if they did a small test, a small sample size. So they're obviously going to go onto a bigger scale and get those results. So that's going to take some more time. And then to get into production, it's all going to take a long time. So the fact that the market's gone up quite hard is surprising, but not at the same time, because we're not worried about what's happening to the economy at the moment. What we're worried about, obviously, the damage is done. The economy, the jobs, across the board, US and in Australia, is unemployment rates have gone up. Number of jobless have gone up. the US retail sales, all these sorts of things. The economic data is doing very bad, yet we're not concerned about that at the moment. What we're concerned about is when are we going to get a vaccine so we can get back to where it was before. Now, I don't think there is going to get back to where it was before. There's going to be some corporate downgrades across the board, Europe, US, and Australia, because they've been out of action. They have to still pay down debt, all these sorts of things. I don't think it's going to get back to where it was, which is what we're sort of looking across the divide to where we could be and forgetting about all this economic data. So either way, the market's going to go where it's going to go, and that's what we've got to trade. So you can see this, the market's pushing up. We're probably going to open up there. Let's just have a look at where the S&P was and the Dow. They're sort of up into previous highs as well. Doesn't mean they can't keep going. It just means that, they're going to potentially find something up there, some resistance. To be honest, I won't be surprised either way if we have a big sell-off today as overnight markets lock in some gains in the futures markets. Or we just blast off. Once Asia starts to kick in, we start to kick in about 5 minutes or 10 minutes. We just blast off as well. You can see the Dow, same sort of scenario, up into the previous highs. So just be wary that you're not going to go long everything and load at the boat, thinking we're going to go straight through and we're going to power to highs, because there is that off chance that, we powered up into these highs. It's a bit of a flush out on the Dow and the S&P, bit of a flush of these highs. We push up above it, take out some stops, trigger some entries, and then it turns around and retraces on them because of what the data is suggesting. So just be wary of that. Gold backed off quite a bit. The US dollar dropped like a stone. Anyone saw the US dollar? Dropped like a stone after that data, so along with gold. It's no longer a safe haven if the market's going to be up 1,000 points in the Dow. All right. So that it's going to be interesting to see how gold goes, because it pushed up through those highs, flushed them out, and it's turned around and retreating as we speak. It's whether or not we go back up, retest this previous high, and get some sort of sell-off from there, because there's still quite a few longs that are built up. Maybe something like that. Well, if I can draw the arrows right. And head south, because we've got all this fuel. Fuel's still built up. There would have been buyers right through here looking for that safe haven. And once it ticked off through the highs, it was getting a bit stretched anyway. Whether this is just going to be a bit of a pullback, build a base, so you want to see a base build under here for the next leg up, or if it goes back up and retest, I'll probably short bias just in the medium term. I'm a bit of a skeptic on gold. I don't think it's the world's best safe haven, but we'll see how that goes. All right, so that's probably all I want to look at. Look at the pound. The pound's on a lower time frame, maybe the 30-minute. Look at this action here. Even though it's gone fairly hard, I think there's room to move on the upside still. But the pound, what it normally does during Asian session, will look like a good long setup, trigger it, and then flush them all back out again on a wash lower. So what it'll have to do is search for liquidity, and potentially I see it sort of flushing lower, taking out some of these lows. It's going to stop out a few and then turn around and retracing the start of European session. There's no reason why it can't kick off. I'm just skeptical about trading the currencies a lot. So I wouldn't mind seeing it pop up through that level. I'll just draw that up. Wouldn't mind seeing it pop up through that high, and then seeing if it can, retest and fail. So if it pops up here and we get a bit of a retest, that could be the long to go long in there. Anyone can see that. So I might be looking for something like that, because I'd rather see if it pops up, it's not just going to be a flush and it's not going to turn around and stop me straight out again. I'd rather see it pop, pull back, retest, that fail, and buy, start to step in again and see if we can drive up through this high at 122.27. So we'll see what happens there. The Aussie, they're all relatively extended because the US dollar got smacked. But if you go and look at the US dollar, it got smacked down there. But the way I like to use the stochastics is suggesting that buyers have started to push it up and it's gone nowhere. It's gone essentially sideways. So if sellers start to step in, it breaks down through those lows, that's going to go lower. Okay, and that would play out to the pound going higher, the Aussie going higher, and the US, the euro going higher. All right, so we've got that's worth keeping an eye on today. If we just get a bit of a bid above these higher lows on the Aussie, and it charges through those highs, you could be looking up to 65, 62. Okay, another 40 points, 40 pips or so. Euro, all that. That's an almighty rally. But again, it's like the US dollar. That's a decent sell-off. So the pressure has been selling. Okay, selling pressure. Push it down to sort of oversold mark. but it's not going anywhere. It's not tipping over. So normally if you get something like that, you get like this, this spike in here got a bit overcooked on the upside. But when it went from overbought to oversold, the actual price went down. So when it's holding up there, it's not a bad sign that there's more to come, more upside to come. So there's starting to form a little flag there as well, if we can draw that up. A little flag through here. If it starts to take out these highs, it could just keep going, and we could get that projection up to 109.90 thereabouts, which would leave 50, 60, 70 pips on the upside. You just got to remember that this momentum, it's on the positive side. It's gone up quite hard. We could get momentum starting to ease, but price could still go up. It is still looking good. Okay, so they're sort of what I got my eye on today on in the way of currencies. A few of these moves are just extending the move through the Asian session. But also you got to be wary that if it does start to wash out, if it washes out, I'm not inclined to get short. If we start to project and get through these lows, see some of these lows here on the euro especially, we get through that low there, which is, say it's somewhere around 109.10. If we push those lows, I don't want to go short because the momentum's still up, it's still strong, there's still room for upside. I would be looking at that more as a bit of a flush out, just to stop out a few longs, squeeze them out, and then turn around and retrace back on them, because there's going to be people, retail traders galore, we should be looking at that going, that's overextended, let's sell on a breakdown there, we've got a lower high coming to play. But the anchor to me for this uptrend, at least on this 30-minute chart, is way down here. Okay, it's basically been one straight move, straight up, paused a bit, straight up again. So the anchor to this move up, so this could easily retrace and go. I mean, if we can wash out, bring in a few sellers, set them up, and then trap them, and then pretty much retrace, I'd be looking for that kind of move. I don't really want to go short into something that's so strong when the US dollar is actually looking like it's going to fall as well. All right, so let's get over to, that's the index. Let's just get over to a couple of the, here we go. All right, so we've got, this is the Dow. So yesterday we were looking at two scenarios. We're coming up into this resistance zone. It was just consolidating below it. So there's two scenarios. It was going to push through and then fall away. And so we're looking for that bit of a flush. And then you wanted to see it push back below and then maybe a retest from the bottom side, retest and then fail, and look for that lower high, essentially squeezing out some of these shorts. All the scenario was it was going to pop up, retest at the level, hold, and start to stick, which it did. You can see in here it started to stick. It just hovered around that level right up until basically when the ASX closed and started to take off again. So you could have had an entry just later on for this push up, this leg up, just really a continuation trade. So for now, we're hovering right up near these highs. Same sort of scenario. If we continue to hover here, we're looking for that extension. If we can just draw that up, we continue to hover here, and I want to draw that up a bit better. Just focus in on these two levels. We continue to hold this level, these lows, and that's around 24,526. If we hold that, and people are expecting the flush, and we start to lift, then whoops, that didn't work out very well. Let's just take that off. If we can get a high low come to work out, then I would expect it to expand higher to that level there, which is around 24,800. So if that's the case, there's a couple of hundred points on the upside if it can extend the gains during the Asian session. So don't be surprised if that happens. It'll set it up. There's going to be a positive open. If there's going to be some sellers, wouldn't mind in the US session, they wouldn't mind seeing a positive open, then sell into the strength if they're looking to, especially after a 1,000-point rally. If not, then it could keep charging higher. So that's what we'll be looking at on the Wall Street. And of course, if it breaks through this little low here, I'd like to see a decent break, a pullback to get that lower high, maybe retest that zone. Something more like this, push through, retest, and then fail from there. Okay, if that makes sense. So that's what I'll be looking at. Hang Seng. Hang Seng, it's consolidating these highs. It's just pretty much, we're looking for that momentum trade. If we get up through these highs, as long as this level doesn't break at around 24,360, 365, if we get up through these little highs here, which it could be doing very soon, we could look to extend that once Asia kicks off at 11:15, or the Hang Seng kicks off at 11:15. But an hour and 20 minutes, the market's probably already going to be going higher. But that's what we'll be looking for. That charges up through here. As long as it holds below, I would love to see it hold below that level, coming into the open, and then get a trade off, because obviously trading CFDs, the spreads are a lot tighter during the normal market hours. They're a lot wider now at the moment before 11:15. So before an hour and 20 minutes, they're a bit wider. So if we can get that charging up and through, and looking for a push up to 24,657. Of course, if we start backing off and we flush out, I do expect a bit of a flush in the open of that level, and then potentially charging higher. I think there's just a bullish tone around at the moment. And if there's more talk about this vaccine and things like that, it's just going to only be more bullish for the market. SPY, yeah, it's pushed up through, and we've just opened now. So we're not really doing anything at the moment. We're just waiting to see how this ASX opens. Again, it's pushed through this previous high, as you can see, at around 55, 53, or 55. That level there. So whether it's running out of steam here, we need to work off a lower high back into the zone before it rebuilds to go up again. Otherwise, just euphoric buying today on the ASX could just lead this SPY to charge up through those highs and continue. So you're looking for that continuation trade. It's all going to be doing down to the first hour or so, half an hour of the open, which is opening in 3 or so minutes. So I haven't really got much levels to work off. So holding that trend up is down at 55.42. So we're still about 50 points down. So this could move down 50 points or so, flush out a few buyers here without breaking the trend, and then pushing higher. All right. So that's what we're looking at for today. Still on pound. That's interesting. Okay, it should have been recorded okay. I've got mine on the SPY now. Anyway, we'll see. I'll check back at the recording. It should have been okay. Still on pound. All right, it might just need to be. It might be just your end, unfortunately. You'll see how it goes. Anyway, sorry about all this, guys. If you've had a few problems with the charts, but generally you can always visit the YouTube site, which you'll see on our profile through TradingView profile, and it's being recorded there as well. So if you want to go back on it and have a bit of a view, go to the YouTube site for TradeSetup, and you'll see it recorded there. All right, guys, I'll finish it up there. Thanks very much for joining me, and we'll see how this all goes today, and we'll see what plays out. And if I get something off today, if we send out an alert, just be wary. It's going to be quite hard and fast, the intraday. Yeah, I'm still seeing that. Okay, you might just have to drop out and reset it. But like I said, it'll be up in the recording. Like I said, if I get some alerts out today for intraday trading, just be mindful. If you want to trade that, just be on the ball a bit, because they're probably going to be fairly fast. We're looking at a half-an-hour chart and potentially a 5-minute setup, or we can get off a half-an-hour chart, a bit of a trade there, just to mean it's a little bit slower. We'll see how we go. If not, I'll see if I can put together a video for this afternoon, just showing what's done for the day. All right, guys, thanks for joining me, and we'll speak to you again soon.